Coach, looks like a lot of the big high school recruits have committed, and I know you're still chasing a few. Are you going to be expanding who you're looking for if you're not getting any of these guys? Or are you just going to rely on the portal?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a really unique time right now. I think that we all have the understanding that rules are going to change at some point really quickly.
Yep.
And so I don't know what the right way to go about this, but I do know we're putting a lot of thought into it in a lot of aspects that, maybe the public doesn't know. But where we are with a lot of guys is we've been in a lot of top twos, a lot of top threes, and we got to decide, what the future looks like for us in who we take and who's part of our roster. But the rules that are before us today are probably not going to be the rules that are in place when this recruiting class puts on a uniform.
How frustrating is that?
I mean, it's the landscape of where we are. So for us, it's trying to figure out as much stuff as we can about where it's today and where the landscape's going to land. So it's not frustration. I think, I think I understand where this thing could go. I think if you have a pro background, I'm not so sure that a lot of colleges have dealt with what could be coming. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm supposed to, like caps and stuff. Like, I don't know if a lot of college coaches have done that. I've done it. And so I'm not going to make decisions, today that can affect us in 13 months. And so it's really hard to make decisions if you don't know exactly what the rules are. And that's kind of where we are right now. So there might be decisions that negatively affect you too down the road in a year or two. So right now it's figure out the landscape to the best of our ability and then figure out to make sure that this guy fits, today, tomorrow, and in a month.
You may not be comfortable commenting, but the way I understand it, there's the settlement, and then you'll get a pool of money from the school that you can distribute to the players. Outside of that, is NIL still going to be in play where you have the money from the school, but can guys get money from elsewhere? Or maybe you're not even comfortable commenting on that because we're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're not there yet, but I think that you look at players that in all sports that have name, image, and likeness deals, like national deals. That's not going to go. Like those players that are getting name, image, and likeness with trading card companies and sports drinks. Like that's the players' rights. Like that's I don't see how that that's. Those are legitimate. A company wants somebody to represent them, and that's what this is supposed to be. So I can't really comment other than what you guys read, which is there could be a pool, and then Caleb Williams, the stuff he got, that's what it should. He's a national brand. He's the number one pick in the draft. He's going to be a future, all pro guy. He should get what he, what I mean? And so to me that stuff's not going to go away at all. I mean, Juju Watkins is one of the most popular athletic, in all of college. You look at all the athletes in college sports, and she's one of the most popular. So of course she's going to have companies that want, which is awesome, so that stuff's not going to go away. But it's going to be the players that, that a company wants to represent instead of, something that's just out of a cloud,
Coach, based on the last practice that we saw, it seemed like some of the drills today were the same, some were a little bit different. Do you change drills based on who you're going to be playing?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you change the focus of the same drill?
No. So, I mean, one of the shell drills that we had was we tried to take, and again, we don't know what Gonzaga's going to run, but we tried to take like 7 actions that they run and put them into one shell drill. So there was like 7 different things that happened in one, and that'll be completely different when we get ready for our home opener. And then another shell segment was only personnel driven, meaning in a 5-man action, what Noah Hickman's trying to do, what Nebenhard's trying to do, what Ike's trying. So we try to put all that together. So that completely changes. It takes a lot of time to try to put those, like, take all their offense and put it into one shell where they get 7 actions in one 15-second segment, and then try to do the same thing on what they do as an individual player. So that completely changes, and we all, I mean, you know, when we go to an NBA practice next week on our off day, we'll try to find a new drill, or I'll call one of my buddies and ask him, hey, can I get practice film of the Milwaukee Bucks? Can I have, you know, your 5 last practices of training camp? And then you look through those and see if there's any, you know. So that's what we're trying to do. I mean, I went to the Bucks to go when they were in Irvine to try to get some stuff from them, and it could be calling Brendan O'Connor with the Clippers and asking if they have done anything different and if they'd be willing to share. So I think it's really hard to just do the same thing over and over. I want them coming in here not knowing what could happen, but then also there's got to be a base to your practice that is your fundamentals on who you are and what you want to do, both offensively and defensively.
Any update on Kevin Patton? Looks like he's progressing.
He's doing great. Like he's ahead of schedule. We've had so many NBA scouts in here, you know, watching all of our guys, and you know, you talk to someone and they don't know that he's been hurt. You know what I mean? Like he's moving better than we thought. I think that there's also a timeline on the surgery that he had, that even though he's feeling awesome and he looks great, that we also want to protect you know, who he is, and want to make sure. So we'll be a little bit more, I mean, he's going to get out there as quick as possible for sure, but I think our doctors and our trainers are super in tune with how long you really got to hold him out with this injury. So he's not going to play in the first couple games. He's not going to play this weekend, but he's moving where he's close to, you know, being, hey, let's get a couple weeks of practice in and see kind of what happens, and is there any setback, or but yeah, right now, I mean, he's doing phenomenal. Like a month ago, I never would have thought this was possible to see him moving like this and feel, most importantly, how he's feeling. You know, we almost have to pull him back a little bit right now, which is great, instead of trying to, you know.
And you've talked about the USC brand a few times, and the school has a great brand academically and for a lot of sports and things, but the Trojans have been in 2 Elite Eights in 70 years. What kind of basketball brand do they have?
Well, I don't know if you know, we're on Twitter or whatever, but you know, a couple programs put out, and I don't have the number in front of me, how many NBA players are currently in the NBA. Well, I don't know if you've looked at the brands that USC is in with, but it's Arkansas, it's Kansas, it's Duke, and again, I don't have it in front of me. You know, Arkansas social media put it out. They have all the logos on it, and so you can look at that group, and you know, because I coached against Henry Bibby and I had Mike on my team. Like, Henry had some great teams, you know, and Bob Boyd's has. I mean, there's been some good teams, you know, Final Four, whatever. Like, that's hard to make, but we feel just, you know, we feel like it's an incredible opportunity for guys, and I think that's why we've been in the top 2, 3 with some really great recruits. You know, is I think that, you know, and then it's with every job. It's, you know, Arkansas had some great history, but then they had some, you know, I mean, my first conversation with Moses Moody's dad was like, Arkansas is not cool right now.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to make it cool? I'm like, I don't know. You got to trust me that, but, and he did, and, but like, I don't know, if past history repeats itself, we'll do some special things at some point. If past history doesn't with where we've been at Nevada, I don't know, then maybe we won't, and, but it's not going to be because of, this isn't a place that can do it. I mean, I might not be able to, or I might, I don't know, but in this program, basketball-wise, I mean, we're here because, we feel like, like, I'm not here just to sit on the beach in 6th Street. I mean, we're here to win. I mean, I like sitting on the beach at 6th Street, but it's not bad.
Coach, 11 transfers and a brand new coaching staff. What are your expectations for your team this season?
To play as hard as we can play, to try to maximize who we are individually and then collectively. But I can't put a win total on it. I thought in the first year at Arkansas that if we would have won one more game in the SEC tournament that we were in, and COVID hit. The first year at Nevada, we won 25 games or whatever, but I didn't know that at the mid-year point. We got hot at the end of the year, but we're trying. Like, we built this team to try to do as good as we can this year, and also built this team with some what we feel are good young pieces, and culture was super important. Like, when you watch that team practice today, there's not many teams in the country that have the chemistry, the communication that they do. So we might have had one bad practice since I've been here. I mean, most teams by this time have had double-digit bad. We don't have bad practices. I don't know what that equates to with wins. I really don't. I mean, we have some deficiencies. I know it. Now, can we make up for it in other areas? So I'd love to say, hey, X amount, but I don't really know as of now. Like, the goals. Like, I took the job to how do we make NCAA tournaments and how do we make NCAA tournament runs. I don't know if that's possible this year, or maybe I don't know. I've never coached in the Big Ten. There's a lot of unknowns. I have no idea. I know how I'm going to handle the travel. I don't know how they are. They're a lot. I mean, it's not going to bother me. I've done an 82-game season. I laugh about all this. It's funny to me. Like, really? Well, how about going to play and do back-to-backs? We're not doing back-to-backs, but playing Golden State and go play in Denver with the altitude, the 2-hour flight. It's a 49-minute drive from the airport to the hotel. Go do that, and then go fly to Philly and play them, and then 24 hours go play the South. Like, that's hard. Not, this is hard, and it's going to be an adjustment, but it is what it is. I don't know how college students are going to handle it in basketball. Both men's basketball, women's, I have no idea. It's going to be hard for them, because they're going to be trying to play video games, and like, even if you're a grown adult and go there, you don't usually fall asleep until 2 o'clock. Well, if you play the next day and it's 2 in the morning and you're still up, like.
When you were first getting interviewed for the job on a totally different note, when you're talking to the administration here, what was kind of the message in terms of promoting this program, and just kind of where the program stood? I mean, obviously for many years, they kind of struggled to sustain momentum with fans. How much did they talk to you about that being a big part of the job?
I mean, I don't know what Jen's internal conversations were, whether she thought that we could or not. I don't know. Like, for me, it's like, we're all a team. So, like, from the PR, like, from our sports information, not PR department, from our sports information department to our game ops people to, like, we're all learning each other. I'm super aggressive in wanting to promote, but I also know I'm new here and I'm trying to get a lay of, I'm not at Nevada, whatever, like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna do, whatever I, And then at Arkansas, it's like that, that's a different fan base, we're still trying to figure out that landscape. I mean, it's pretty, like tonight there's a the Sharks are in town playing the Kings. There's an NFL game here tonight. I mean, there's only, it's not that many universities with a brand this big that are in an area where tonight you can go to an NHL game and an NFL game in the same night. Like I'm told my wife, I don't know why we don't go to the Sharks-Kings game and then leave at halftime and try to go watch the second half of and I go, how cool would that be? You know what I mean? But so there's competition that's beyond, a normal college. Like, yeah, there's nothing to do in some of the Big Ten cities, so they're going to sell out. There's a lot of stuff to do here. That's just a reality. But it doesn't mean that. I mean, you look at what the women's basketball programs like. There's talk. There's they got a star player, then they get another star player, and they're coming off a great. So there's a time for all. How you do all this, and like we did that pregame warm up at Nevada, and we did it at Arkansas. But I did it in year one. We're not doing it yet now because I think if I would have done the warm up in year 3 or 4 at Arkansas, the people would have been hanging off the rafters. But I did it too early, and we hadn't built up who we were and what our team or we hadn't won enough. So I'm kind of trying to. I want to learn from my past too, and do not just jump in and, not do what I usually do. I'm trying to have more intelligence.
How much do you generally prefer to have your kind of fingers in every cookie jar? When it comes to that, like if there's a promotion going on one night, like you've signed off on this, or if there's
yes, because of, there's some things I don't want to do but marketing and promoting, and again, I think it's just, the research on my father, that was like a big part of at Ashland College. It was, they're got an 8-page story on him in Sports Illustrated. That doesn't happen without all the promoting and stuff that he did. And, I think that, my mom being in the Pepsi business, like that's all I heard at my house. From my mom's side and my grandpa on that side, and then my dad's side. So, yeah, I want to know what we're doing, and I'm gonna I hope I'm aggressive about let's do some stuff to get some people in here.
Would you mind if we take one more?
I'll take as many as you want. I got nothing to do.
I think that whole practice, I saw Angie miss 1 3-pointer. Is that something we're going to be seeing more in games?
I will say that over the 8 weeks in the summer and then whatever, we've been in about a month or so, his perimeter shooting's been really, really good. Like something that was a little bit unexpected, but he's also worked so hard. Like he's in the gym a lot. So I would say that, I don't know how much we'll see with it, but if he's open, we do want him to shoot it because we think it's an added tool, in his game.
Russ, what was the process behind the physical creation of the bus that you guys had and the warm-up video and everything? Had you done something like that before, or was that a pretty new thing?
No, that was our marketing people. They did I really didn't know. It was a little bit of a surprise. They did an awesome job. There was a lot of work that went into it. It was a bus that was painted, and it was a lot, it was not a small production. And it was really cool. Like I walked in and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a couple pictures and say a few words. That was the night I threw the first pitch out at the Dodger game. So I was already like, how do I get over to Dodger Stadium? That's all I cared about. And they're like, hey, just stop by this place. It's a warehouse right by Dodger Stadium. I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty cool. And then I walk in there and I'm like, holy shit, like what's going on here? And the players were like, hey, this is LA, coach. It's funny to hear them say it. They're like, we're not doing this at UMass. It was funny to hear. I think they thought it was the first time, like, hey, this is LA can be a little different
Yeah.
because it was the best production I've ever seen in the 2 college places I've been. I mean, it was like LA. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was a warehouse and it was rented out. And, you know, the band was there and the cheer. I mean, it was top level. Like you're not gonna get any. Nobody's doing anything better than that. I know that.
You didn't know about the bus like ahead of time?
Literally, I mean, I heard that there was, but I thought it was like a school bus. I didn't know it was painted in our things, and that was one thing. I would love to take credit for it, but then I would lose all credibility with the marketing people. So it was all them.
Coach, the last thing for me, just on the recruiting, so you mentioned the NIL stuff's going to change. It seems like the Blue Bloods are having their typical success recruiting. Do you think the struggles right now are a mix of you being new and working with these new NIL rules? Is USC maybe not navigating them as well as other schools?
No, I think our people have been great. I don't think we're struggling at all. I think that, you know, I look back at all of our, you know, year one, we haven't won a game.
Yeah.
So like for new coaches, if you haven't won a game, you know, so, and I don't want to put ourselves in a position that hurts us next year. And that's, you know, I mean, I think some of our assistant coaches, when I've gone through this philosophy, they're like, wow, that's not being talked about amongst other staffs. But, you know, if you do something now and it's not, I don't know the rule, you know what I mean? So to me, there's sometimes, and I'm not patient, so I'd love to tell you that I'm patient, but in this one instance, we're going to have patience and you know, not risk something that can affect us. You know, that's just, you know, but we've been in some good races and, you know, in more than normal. I mean, there's not just one. It's a pretty large group, and you know, but whatever. Like, we got to prove some stuff too, you know, and that's how it's got to be.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Great.